So Dominic and all of the panelists, that was just fantastic. Second fantastic panel. Really, at PCORI, we know that patient-centered research is going to require a patient-centered approach to delivering the information. And so shared decision-making is a big part of that we see. And I wanted to just take a second to say that we now have a funding announcement specifically directed at shared decision-making. All of you in the room, take note of that. I think it's issued twice a year. The first one was to implement findings from PCORI-funded studies. I'm not sure that's always going to be the case, so keep an eye on this and apply for these shared decision-making awards. So Juan Brito Campana said that he wore 3 hats, but I didn't see a hat. Meanwhile, David White had a hat on, and he didn't say anything about it. And then Betsy Vetter said she wore a number of hats, but I didn't see her with a hat on. The gentleman that's coming up the ramp right now is Danny Van Leeuwen. He does have a hat on, and he wears it intentionally because he's a man who fulfills multiple roles. He wears multiple hats, although I think he just brought one with him today. But Danny is a patient with multiple sclerosis. He is the co-chair of PCORI's advisory panel, one of our 7 advisory panels, this one on communication and dissemination research. So what better person? He is also a nurse, he's an informatician, he's a performance improvement person, and you're at least probably 4 other things. And I know you're a caregiver to several family members who have terminal or at least very serious advanced illness. So Danny is going to give us a wrap up from the perspective of a patient who knows a lot about communication.
Thank you, sir. Hi, everybody. So I won a lottery that I didn't buy a ticket for. And I'm very proud of that with multiple sclerosis. But I really, I'm the CEO of my health team, and I have a slew of subcontractors. And I want to tell you about one of those subcontractors, and that's my neurologist. And, you know, when I first met him, he, said, I know a lot about multiple sclerosis therapeutics and how groups, the information about groups. But, the only thing I know about you is that you have multiple sclerosis. And so the next time we meet, the whole meeting is going to be about you telling me about you. And he said, you are going to have a ton of questions, signed me up for the portal, and said, whatever question you have, I want you to text me and tell me your question, and I will get back to you within hours, but for sure, within 24 hours. And so I was freaked. And I had all sorts of questions. And he had 3 brief responses. The first response was, oh, get over it. And that was like most of the time. Then it was, if you still have that tomorrow, let me know. And the third was, I need to see you today. Give me a call, I'll get you in. And it was mostly the first, a few times the second, and once the third. Another story about him is that he uses open notes. And, I had this conversation with him like last week, which is, I don't understand a word of what's in that note. It's like 5 pages, and all I want to know is, am I getting better or am I getting worse? And I can't tell from the note. And so he said, well, here, let me show you this. Maybe it was on page 3. This is a disability scale. And, so I said, oh, that's interesting. I see it's gone from, 2 to 3.5 to 4.5. So what does that mean? And he said, well, this is what the scale is about. And I said, well, that's wrong. And I corrected one of them. And he said, oh, then you're a 6. I said, okay, well, thank you. So I want to tell you about 2 things about PCORI. And then I'm done. Okay, so as Joe said, I co-chair the Communication and Dissemination Advisory Panel. And in that role, I have a lot to say about the meeting agenda. And the chair, Lauren McCormick, and I take heavy advantage of being able to control the agenda. And the item that I advocate for the most is how do we communicate uncertainty? And you know, it's sort of odd because life is uncertain. It is just the condition. And isn't it strange that we are so uncomfortable with uncertainty and that we have to strategize about how to communicate about uncertainty? I mean, we don't do research about what's certain. I don't, have to do research that I tell my grandson don't cross a busy street without looking both ways. There's no research that needs to be done about that. So there is uncertainty. And so like the neurologist says, I think we just need to get over it. And so I think maybe, we'll see what the panel has to say about that. We're talking about it on Friday. But I think it's more about trust. Because uncertainty is, what do we expect? It's life. The final thing I want to say is that I've been with doing stuff with the PCORI since 2012. And I like many things about it. I like that it's a learning organization, and I thank you, Joe, for that, because I think that starts with the top, that it puts its money where its mouth is. It learns from us. I think also that I've been reviewing since 2013, reviewing funding applications. So I've done, 6 or 7 cycles of reviews. And in the first one, I was, trying to understand the budget, the PI's budget, who is paying themselves a crap load of money and giving $5 gift certificates to patient advisors. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was just trying to learn what's in the budget. And then the last cycle I reviewed, this year, there was a funding application that included money in the budget for respite care so that caregivers could participate in the research. And I thought, oh my God, this is so cool. Have we come a long way? That's an outcome measure that's important to me. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Good job.
Thanks.
So, Danny, thanks a lot. Danny likes to be an empowered patient, and you too. I'm so glad he mentioned reviewing. You can feel a little bit of that power. Go to our website and look at Get Involved and become a reviewer with us. It really is a learning experience, right, Danny? So.